Hey guys, welcome to March 16th's Morning Brew. Sorry if my voice is a little raspy. I just took a nap and we're good to go. All right, let's hop into it. Looks like a good day for everything markets. Nasdaq is up 2.92. The S&P is up 2.14. The Dow is up 1.82. The 10-year is up 0.4. Bitcoin is up 2.14 and Nvidia is up 7.7. Our first story is actually pretty interesting. It deals with the Sunshine Protection Act, which essentially would make daylight savings time permanent. So you know how just recently we switched our clocks forward in the middle of the night to change for daylight savings time? So the sun stays later in the day. Well, this would make that change permanent. This one especially affects me as an overnight shift worker, because 2 nights a year in the middle of the night, it will go backwards an hour and shoot forwards an hour. So I will work an 11-hour shift one night and then pop forward a bunch of months, and then I will work a 13-hour shift in another night. Regardless, Senator Marco Rubio said an extra daylight hour during winter evenings would translate to lower rates of crime, seasonal depression, and childhood obesity. My take on this is I think this would actually be good because it wouldn't screw up people's sleep so badly. And I know how hard it is to change up your sleep pattern if you are on a rhythm, and if your body suddenly feels like it's sleeping at a different time or you're trying to force it into a new sleep schedule, that throws everything off. So that's just my take, but there is opposition that we need to go on about. So in 1974, the US made daylight savings time permanent, basically to conserve energy, but there were a lot of drawbacks apparently. So the first one was children waited for buses in the dark, which is okay, whatever. I understand dark, cars going everywhere. It could be dangerous, but I remember having to deal with this because my bus picked me up extremely early in the morning anyways, so I would go out to the bus stop and it would be dark, so it wasn't that big of a deal for me. So that one I can understand for some kids in maybe like bad neighborhoods. I fortunately do not live in a bad neighborhood, so I had nothing to worry about, but that can be a contender for something to think about going into this. They also found that it didn't even save on fuel, so then the same year, the House voted 383 to 16 to repeal permanent daylight savings time. I didn't know this was a thing. I didn't know that they did this back then. Some other side effects that we have to potentially consider is clocks will be then unsynced from Europe, which is bad for trade and travel. And I can understand that one. That one would be interesting, but then again, it may not, because then no one would have to deal with us changing our clocks constantly. They would just go, okay, the US is this time. They wouldn't have to go, wait, is it daylight savings time? Is it not daylight savings time? I don't remember. They would just go, oh no, the US is just straight daylight savings time. This is their time going forward. So maybe yes, maybe no, not sure. Religious rituals typically performed around sunrise now would be impossible to do before work. I cannot personally relate to this one. I don't have any rituals that I do, but for those doing them, they may have to talk to their employer and say, hey, I do need to step out for 10, 15 minutes and take care of this. And I don't know for sure, but they could say that they need to for their religion. And I don't know how businesses have to accommodate that. But I do know there is something in the law stating that businesses have to comply for religion or something. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know for sure. Maybe TV has warped my mind and I don't know what I'm talking about. So let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. And they're also saying gas use could actually increase due to people going out after work anyways, now that the sun lasts longer. So imagine you get done with work midday and you're like, oh, the sun's still out. I'm going to go do something. That would lead to more gas use because people are actually out doing things, driving around in their cars and whatnot. So I'm not sure. The next part of this is more interesting because apparently Hawaii, Arizona, and some U.S. territories have opted for permanent standard time. And I didn't know this. This is really interesting. If this act was passed, it would not require them to switch from standard to daylight savings time. So then that becomes a little bit more confusing because it's like people in Europe would be like, okay, so the US is this this time specifically, but then, oh wait, not for Hawaii, Arizona, and US territories. So that throws a wrench into the entire thing, and it kind of becomes a little bit more confusing. So it is what it is. But I think maybe they should just experiment with it and see how it goes again. And if it turns out bad, then reverse it. There is also the thing at the end here that says better, more consistent sleep could reduce the rates of stroke and heart attacks, which I completely agree with. And I think if they just stuck to one time going forward, it would be better for sleep. People's sleep cycles would not be interrupted. And I think sleep is the number one thing we need in life. So that is the thing that I'm going to fight for. So there's the story about daylight savings time. Now this next one gets real spicy. Apparently, the US is running out of funds to pay for COVID tests, vaccines, and treatments. This is a little bad. So apparently the White House requested $22.5 billion in early March, and then that amount slowly shrunk to $15.6 billion. But then, after bickering between Republicans and Democrats, it was dropped from the bill altogether, meaning the U.S. is almost out of money for providing for these things. So they wouldn't be able to provide variant-specific vaccines, monoclonal antibody treatments, and additional boosters, which is a big thing. They need to figure their stuff out, or else the U.S. will run out of money in early April, which is a short while away here. So they need to get their act together, per se, and figure something out, because if we run out of money for COVID tests and people are just starting to go back to normal life without wearing masks, things are going to start spiking again. So this is a big thing that needs to get kind of resolved quickly. And just knowing how our government works, I kind of doubt that will happen. So make sure if you haven't gotten your COVID shot yet, go get one, get a booster as well, because we do not know if we are going to be able to get one soon. So take care of that fast and stay healthy. And that is going to do it for this morning's Morning Brew. I know it's a little bit of a shorter episode, but there were just a lot of articles, and I had to pick just 2 or 3 that were kind of interesting, because if I picked more than that, I would probably go into like the 20 or 30 minute segments. So I know this is a shorter episode, but the other articles were so long that I just figured better have a shorter episode, and you guys can go to morningbrew.com yourself, read the other ones, and go from there. But either way, thanks for popping in for today's episode, and I will see you all tomorrow. Peace.